What's up YouTube, this is PSY-Frame guys. Today I'm coming to my latest deck profile video for the March 2020 format. As you can see guys, we're going to be looking at my updated sideframe deck. Alright, now sideframes weathered Master Rule 4 very well. Unlike other secret decks which had to bring out Link Monsters first, sideframes really didn't have to worry about that because primarily because the sideframe synchros, when they're on the field, they could banish themselves off the field, keeping the monster zones empty and allowing you to be able to synchro summon another sideframe Synchro Monster onto the field and its place, which is actually pretty awesome. And because of the rulings for Master Rule 4 involving properly synchro summoned monsters, when they return to the field, they don't go back to the extra monster zone. Instead, they go back to the main monster zone, just allowing you to be able to do a lot more things on future turns. Alright, last year in Battles of Legend, we actually got the sideframe Lord Lambda Link Monster, which just helped this deck out a lot. It allows the sideframe gear monsters to bypass having an empty field in order to special summon them, which is actually pretty cool. And Lambda also added in a little extra consistency to the deck, which is also very awesome. Alright, this deck is typically a go second deck, and it can give your opponent a lot of problems, especially if they're not expecting it. Alright, so without further ado, we're going to get right into this, and we're going to look at the level 6s first. We got 2 copies of sideframe Driver and 2 copies of sideframe Multi-Threader. Driver is your vanilla level 6, which you can utilize to build into your level 7 or level 8 Synchro Monsters. Multi-Threader, you do the same thing. There's only 2 differences with Multi-Threader. Multi-Threader does count as Driver while in hand or graveyard, so in case your drivers are banished, you still have other copies of the card to utilize. And Multi-Threader also has an additional quick effect, which allows you to turn around and protect your sideframe cards from being destroyed by battle or card effect by discarding this card from your hand instead. And that's actually pretty damn huge. Alright? Now we're going to get into the sideframe gears. The sideframe gears are your tuner monsters. They come in 2 levels, level 1 and level 2. Alright? And they always respond to your opponent's action. Sideframe Gear Alpha here will respond to your opponent's summons. It will not negate the summons though. It just responds to it by putting itself in either Driver or Multi-Threader on the field. And from there, you can, if you have Synchro Monster on the field, you can synchro into your level 7 synchro. Really cool thing about Alpha is that when after it's summoned, you get to search for another sideframe card to add to your hand, which is actually pretty huge. It does give you that consistency boost that the deck needs, and it's really worth having in your deck. Alright, the other level 1 is going to be Sideframe Gear Beta. Alright, Beta activates whenever your opponent declares an attack. Special summon this plus the Driver / Multi-Threader. You'll destroy the attacking monster and end the battle phase, and that's pretty freaking awesome. Alright, going into the level 2s, you got 3 copies of Sideframe Gear Delta, excuse me. Delta will negate the activation of a spell card and destroy the spell card, which is actually pretty damn awesome. And it gives you access to your level 8 synchros. And then, of course, we have, last but not least, the best level 2 Sideframe Gear Tuner in the deck. 3 copies of Sideframe Gear Gamma. Gamma will negate the activation of a monster effect and destroy the monster and give you access to your level 8 synchros as well. So, yes. Very awesome. That's it for the sideframe monsters. We do have a few other support monsters in this deck. 3 copies of Cyber's Gadget. Cyber's Gadget is actually a 1-card combo to get into Lambda, and this helps whether you're going first or going second. Basically, you summon him out. If you have a monster, a level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard, you can special summon it. That can actually be very helpful to get an additional Synchro Monster on the field. Just keep that in mind. But most of the time, you're just going to summon him, link it off into a Link Disciple. Gadget will then generate a token when it hits the graveyard. Use the token for Devotee. Tribute off Devotee for its Disciple's effect. Get 2 more tokens, draw, and put another card on the bottom of your deck. And then you basically take one of those tokens, turn it into a Link Rainbow, link off into Lambda, and bam, you're pretty much set. If you have another high-level monster on the field, like, say, a level 7 Synchro Monster. The token is a level 1, and if you have the level 1 sideframe tuner, you could pretty much access a level 9 Synchro, and we'll get into that one once we get into the extra. Alright, the last monster in this deck, since this deck is a solid go second deck, we're going to be using Nibiru. Nibiru just helps break apart boards and allows the deck to be able to ultimately hit your opponent hard and set the situation up where you can actually get back in control of the duel. Alright? Going into your spells, 2 copies of Silent Mining. Again, it allows you to access the Stardust Gadget, which is the 1-card combo into Lambda, so definitely worth running in the deck. 2 copies of Demise the Land. Your opponent's special summons, this card can activate, and then activate Siphon Circuit onto the field. 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. This allows you to dump Siphon Overload into the graveyard, so you can set up the search on a future turn. Pot of Arborist, huge in pretty much every Synchro deck moving forward. Allows you to recycle all your materials back into your deck and draw 2 cards, which is awesome. And I'm also running 2 copies of Pot of Desires. I mean, it makes sense with all the 3 ofs in this deck. I was hesitant at trying this, but after playing the deck with this card in it, it does work, so, yeah. Not too thrilled about it banishing so many resources, but hey, it helps speed up the duels. Alright, and then of course we have 3 copies of the Linchpin Field Spell Sideframe Circuit. Circuit is very important because it allows you to synchro summon during your opponent's turn, which is just awesome. So you can summon out your Sideframe gear and your driver / multi-threader, and then you could basically then go into an immediate synchro summon thanks to Circuit. Circuit also has another effect. It turns any Sideframe monster in your hand basically into a power boosting hand trap to power boost any of your other Sideframe cards that are on the field. Alright? A lot of people forget about that, and it's very useful at times. Alright? Moving forward, we got 3 copies of Psychic Field Zone. This is actually an insanely important card, especially if you can't get Circuit online fast enough, and you have to summon out a Sideframe gear monster with driver. During the end phase, both cards are going to wind up being banished. What Field Zone does is allows you to target that 1 tuner and the non-tuner monster, return them into the graveyard, and then synchro summon a monster whose level equals to the monster's return to the graveyard. So, definitely a great recovery play. 1 copy of Metaverse, again, to get into your Circuit. And last but not least, we got 3 copies of Sideframe Overload. Overload is the continuous trap that a lot of players still feel fear in this deck, primarily because you could banish a Sideframe monster off the field or from your hand to banish any card your opponent controls face down. Alright, while this card is in the graveyard, but at the turn it's sent there, you can actually banish it during either player's turn and get an additional search. So you do have the ability to access your other Sideframe gear cards to really fit the situation that you need. Alright, that's it for the main deck. Going into the extra, 2 copies of Sideframe Lord Lambda. Like I said in the intro, Lambda just helps this deck out so much. Before the Sideframe gear monsters couldn't be summoned unless you had a completely empty field. Lambda allows you to bypass that, which is just huge. And then anytime a Sideframe monster is banished from a zone it points to, you're getting a search for another Sideframe card during your end phase, which is just flippin' awesome. Since the Sideframe Synchros banish themselves through their own effects, yeah, you're going to be getting those searches just by having those Sideframe Synchros on the field. And if this Lambda happens to be pointing to a card that you banish utilizing Overload, you're still getting that search. So, definitely worth having 2 of in the deck. Okay, we have this Disciple, Devotee, and the Link Rebo. These are your combo pieces for Stardust Gadget just to climb into Lambda turn 1. And of course for Synchros, I mean, you are capable of creating High Speed Roid Chumbara with Stardust Gadget and either level 1 sideframe gear tuner. Attacks twice, gains 200 attack points while attacking, so actually very awesome. Level 7 monster that I love spamming out of this deck. 2 copies of Black Rose Dragon. What can I say? Being able to synchro summon this card on your opponent's turn, just insanely rude, especially if you have multi-threader in hand, because then you can protect your face-up sideframe cards from being destroyed. Specifically, Circuit and Overload. It just hurts your opponent, keeps you in control of your own field with your own resources up, and it just is insane. One can actually just break your opponent down. You do twice during the duel, you're pretty much going to be set to win. Alright. Another level 7, Cyber's Quantum Dragon. Quantum is just awesome. It attacks your opponent's monsters, bounces them off the field, and it gets an additional attack. So, hey, two attacks from a 2,500 point monster, which is actually pretty cool. While this card is in the field and you control a Link monster, your opponent can only target this card, which protects some of your other monsters on the field, which is just damn awesome. And so worthy to have in this deck. Alright, of course we have 2 copies of Side-Frame Lord Zeta. Zeta, if your opponent controls a face-up attack position monster that was special summon, this card can take that monster and basically knock it off the field, banish it with itself, and then bring it back during your next standby phase, and that can hurt your opponent's plays if they're trying to build a field. If this card is in the graveyard, you can target itself and another Side-Frame card in your graveyard, add the targeted card into your hand, and Side-Frame Zeta goes back into extra deck, which is just huge. You get the recursion as well. Alright, for level 8. Alright, you have the Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. Such an awesome card. Your opponent activates a monster effect, you're banishing the monster. Probably still get the monster effect, but still, hey, getting that problematic monster off the board is just huge. If this card battles one of your opponent's monsters, destroys it into the graveyard, it gains the attack points and gains another additional attack on a monster during your turn, which is just awesome. Alright. Stardust Dragon is in there primarily because Lightning Storm is all over the place now. So, yeah. Whether it's they're going after your back row or your monsters, this card will just protect you by tripping itself, negating that card effect. And it brings itself back onto the field. So if you have to put it into the extra monster zone, it's going to go in the main monster zone. So it works well with the strategy of Side-Frames. And of course, we have the 1 copy of Side-Frame Lord Omega. Omega is just an amazing card. It can allow you to rip cards out of your opponent's hands. Again, playing keep away with your opponent's resources is just fun thing that this deck does. Annoying to them, fun for you. To be very honest. While this card is face up on the field, it can actually recycle banished cards back into the graveyard, which is actually pretty damn awesome. And it can even allow you to get stuff from your graveyard back into your deck, or extra deck as well. So, all around, just a great card. And then last but not least, this is for the situations when you have that 1 token plus a level 1 tuner and a level 7 Synchro Monster. You can just climb right up into Trishula. Trishula will banish a card out of the field, out of your opponent's field, hand, and graveyard, or any combination of those. If they don't have anything on their field, it's hand and graveyard, but still, just being able to rip away your opponent's resources is just an amazing thing to do, and it just adds an extra layer of a threat onto the field. Alright. Guys, that is it for my Side-Frame deck profile for the March 2020 format. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this on my channel, make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you don't miss a single upload. Check out the description box below. Find the invite link to my Discord server. Join a conversation. We'd love to have you. Links to my social media, Reddit, and Twitter are down there as well. And if you guys shop on TCG Player, utilize my TCG Player affiliate link in good health. It'll help the channel grow in the long run. And guys, if you actually want to turn around and check out this deck in action, I have the YGO replay video up on the Team FTK site. Link is also in the description box below. Alright guys, as always, until next time, peace.